everyone. Welcome back to Pairs podcast. Pairs is like a press or mass media communication, especially for students in SIA Yasa Anggana Sari. And also, Pairs abbreviation in bahasa is perbincangan santai. Perbincangan santai in English, it's like casual conversation. Okay, so we are on the eighth episode. Nice to meet you all. Let me introduce myself. My name is Salwa, and I will be the host for today's episode. This is a special today. Today is a special day for me, especially for me, and I wish it would be very special too for our guest there and for all the listeners. But I am apologize, bro. I am feeling a bit nervous just because I am an intermediate level for English communication ability, but I also very excited about this podcast. Okay. As a management student or as a college student, I usually saw someone like our guest is standing in front of our class on the internet, on the television, and also featured in academic journals. But today, we will get to see a different side of her directly. Okay? She is very special guest star. She is not only a theory expert with a PhD in quality management, but also someone who dares to invest as an angel investor and build a startup ecosystem from the ground up. So, in this episode, we will deep dive into an important question. The question is, are the managerial theories that we learn in our class is truly applicable in a startup world, or do we need, or do we actually need a new way of thinking? So, without any further ado, everyone, please welcome Professor Dr. Kasyarina Pavlovi. Um, Thank you so much, Prof, for taking time to join in this podcast today, in despite in your busy schedule. So, what should I call you, Prof?
It's fine, yeah.
Like Prof. Katarina. It's like a Russian name. I heard like a Russian name. I thought you were from Russian. Right? And then, Prof. Katarina, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for this introduction. Also, thank you for welcoming me here in this campus. I'm thrilled to be here. It's the first time I can attend this. So I will gladly speak with you today with whatever the topic is, and we can exchange on the perspectives we have,
Okay.
you as students here, and from my side.
Okay. From your point of view, we're gonna talking about the topic is like comparing between a theories in our class that the theories that we learn in our class is it truly applied in startup workplace, real workplace. Okay. Um, can you please tell us a long short story? How was your January in 2026 so far?
How was my January?
Yeah, in 2026.
It was nice because we had a break from the work, the studies, everything that's going on. So I took a holiday and I came here, invited by my dear friend there, and this is how everything comes here and what you have to do, what you focus on, what your interests are, and this is how we basically agreed to have this lecture and the workshop that will be related to the classical management theory, but also the new era of leadership and what that is all based on.
Okay. So The first intention that you coming to Indonesia for vacations and invited by your friends there.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a mixture of everything. So then I have very many different things to connect us. We met once in Europe, and then after that, related to business mentorship and the consultancy for small medium enterprise. So we have different interests, the different products doing this together. And among those is also the higher education being involved with
Uh,
Jasa that
oh,
has
yes,
very
enggak na. So we honor to welcome you in SIA Anggana, our campus. Okay, we have to begin to our podcast. Maybe the question and answer session. But before that, could you please introduce yourself to the audiences or to the listeners first?
sure. My name is Katerina Pavlovic. I'm associate professor at the Faculty of Project Management in Serbia. I've been in industry professional for more than 10 years. My core education is to biomedical sciences, so I was not always academia and not always related to the business world. But after my PhD in organizational sciences, I began the business consultancy and also now I actually have the mixture of everything connected industry and the business consultancy with academia and applying the academic theories to business practices and like.
So you also as a mentor, right, for any students in your institution?
I'm a mentor to my students for their bachelor science diplomas and master's diplomas and PhDs as well. And I'm also a startup company that starts at the beginning.
Oh, so also you're teaching about feasibility study to your students about the consultant.
Specific physical studies, no. I did management, contemporary management, managing project risk. Uh,
Oh, okay. Uh, um, Honestly, yesterday I am stalking into your LinkedIn profile, but I am a bit confused about your education journey or education background. Is that true? You start the education journey is from pharmacy and chemistry, but how can you get that PhD in the management? If you don't mind, please also tell us about your background.
well, it's very interesting. I was always actually this natural sciences and biosciences. That's what my field I wanted to be a researcher at the very beginning of the year, but then I started working at company. And then, since I was at the managerial position, I was head of the biological control department. I realized that this is the knowledge that I did not have. I mean, because the practice that area with specific, you know, capabilities, but I realized that it's more in management and science, and that is actually totally different.
Yeah,
And
totally
basically,
different.
yeah, and basically the knowledge that I needed. So this is why I decided to pursue the PhD in investment, and this is how I got very interested and involved in the.
It seems so interesting. Okay. And then for the next question, uh, I always heard that many people say the theories that we learn in our class are often different from the real world practical or real world practice. So my question is, how do you alignment the rigid quality management standards with fast-paced and startup, disruptive culture of startups. I mean.
Right. Yeah. Well, when we speak about academic education, classical management theory is at the base of academic. We have to go, and all students we have to go to the base to the base principles of education. But as you mentioned, the theories are not always applicable. But for this reason, we also have new theories that are actually applicable. Since the whole business world has been fully rapid, and the pace of change just goes up. We don't slow down. We are applying new theories, new methodologies, new approaches in order to be able to better our organization. So basically, it is always the best approach to apply something coming from academia to the business world and see how well it works and bring back the results to the academy and then
So the world is always changing, and then we have to utilize it also. Um, what are the most common mistakes the startup founders did when they managing product quality in the early stage? And once I read about MVP, MVP is a minimum viable product, I think, but I am still confused. Uh, so if you know about MVP clearly, please explain to us what is that MVP.
for the first part of the question first, it is very difficult for startups. They start with the core teams usually gathered around. Basically, in most cases, these people come from a very similar background. For example, developers. They have this idea, they want to pursue that, they want to see this idea come alive and see eventually implement. But business knowledge is something else. Startup company basically makes different kinds of knowledge in different aspects of it. Okay? And it's the very small micro company needs to have everything else as the big company. So the knowledge or the lack of knowledge is most of the problem for them because they do not have the resources to hire other people besides themselves, and it's a very early stage of the problem. Later on, that changes and they understand the business perspective better, and also they are in a position to be able to onboard more people, but at a bigger. As for the minimum viable product, this is something that you need to develop after the prototype, after test developing the idea. And the minimum viable product is things with minimum characteristics that your customer can actually try and test. You can get the first feedback from the market too. And if you have sometimes it is a different product, it takes longer time to develop.
So to manage to manage product quality, we have to making a prototype and then trying the trial to the consumer or to the consumer, and then asking for a feedback from the customer. Like that.
So basically, in today's world, what we do is constantly ideate, constantly develop, constantly test, get the feedback, and then do it all over. So it's like multiple sort of that we have because we always want to be best product market fit, and it takes several ideas.
So the feedback from a customer is an important thing for managing the product quality. So the next question, what is the key of elements are often overlooked or often overlooked when trying to build a healthy investment to build a healthy innovation ecosystems within in a region or in organizations.
If we're speaking of building the ecosystem and the ecosystem, very important part is to have the network, well-developed network, very thing that because the root of all persons are growth and are in my opinion,
Important thing. It's networking, and then uh,
connecting
oh,
with to have that startup to have grant providers, have the hub, incubators, accelerators, the like support system. Because otherwise, startup
it seems so interesting. I want to practice it, but yeah, because yeah, I have to gain my English ability first and then practice it with you. Maybe I have an opportunity in the future. Okay, okay. Uh, okay. So the next question, while I'm reading your LinkedIn profile, I saw um, your LinkedIn profile that you always sharing your activity, being a mentor for another student, for another student. As a mentor, what is tell me what is one knowledge or one skill in management that is not in the management textbook, that is not teach from the management textbook, that is not taught in the class. Knowledge management or skill management that is not taught in the class. But that knowledge or the skill is very determined for the sustainability, for the startup survive, for the startup survival in its first year.
well, in order to survive, you need to have like the best quality. You're speaking of startup now, and being able to hold contact, being able to keep it, being able to be
Mm.
this is all that is not at start. It doesn't start, can be acquired through informal learning options or that's supposed to be different.
Mm.
Also self development, how you actually find how fast you're able to grow develop.
So we have to develop ourselves and being a great leadership like
Yes,
that.
and be very resilient. So live in this world that is very challenging, very dynamic, very complex. The personal resilience for business is very, very
Is a knowledge and skill that we have to prove that is not taught by the management textbook and it's not taught in the class. Um, I also learned about risk analysis at class. Risk analysis. Um, uh, as an angel investor, maybe I would ask you, have you ever assessed the investment risk without the well-structured financial report? Have you ever?
course because with startup companies that is very early but we that very difficult to get the
Mm.
serious report. We have companies without architect, so
Mm.
they don't have any at that time. In the due diligence process, you can do several things to assess the potential that's very actually risky. That all like paper, like for example. So working with startup companies and also being in the position of the company at a certain time is very and I think of course you have as a risk investment because the but how can we assess the risk investment in startups that have well-structured financial resources? I mean, what do you looking for on the number on that to the number on the page? So you cannot deal with it at any vertical first or of the different market or medical market that so just thinking about how fast that grow is scalable enough also that these are all the elements like that. But as I said,
You take the risky, right?
yeah, okay. Um,
As a class, we learned that management is should be planned, management should be structured. There is a principle of management that we call the POA. P is for planning, O is for organizing, A is for executing, and C is for controlling. That's what we learned in our class about principle of management. But however, in startup, many people say we have to move fast and stay agile. Um, Professor Katarina, as a quality management expert, which one that should management students follow? Or we should follow that principle, POAC, or it would be better if we quickly adapting to the fast pace in startup approach.
well, planning, organizing, leading, and controlling are capital the core of any management. So you cannot be a manager without any plan or but you have to be very adaptable in a sense to uh, take this as an agile approach. So we'll have just the basic structure of the plan and we will plan it as well in order to be able to but doing anything without any planning is not a good and it's not good.
So it's possible to be a manager or managing something without planning.
No, it's like that. I mean, if you find a startup company or any company without a business plan, without making marketing sales plan, or any other plan,
For the next session, Professor Kasarina, there is a chapter in a textbook management or at class we learning about decision making. Our lecturer teach us how to making a decision through a fishbone. You know that a fishbone. Yeah. Drawing a fishbone diagram to making a decision. Um, it seems so logical and by data driven. As an angel investor, have you ever uh, made investment decisions purely by your intuition? Or you making an investment decision is always by a data. So it seems so logical and yeah, it seems so logical.
well, I have to tell you that by intuition, solely by intuition, no. I mean,
Oh,
it's not really but partially on intuition, yes. because these are companies that normally we work with, that we already know, that we have the track record of everything that's going on with them, and then with a further analysis, the diligence process, and some solution, I do.
So you usually making decision with your impressions, but not often.
Reliant on intuition,
Oh,
but it cannot be that happens where you really have to make the decision quickly. You don't have time for any sort of analysis, but that should not be.
um, so the next question. Many management students want to become an entrepreneur, but they are too afraid because they lack in um, financial capital. As a startup founder and as an angel investor, I want to make sure, is that true? Financial capital is the most important factor to be an entrepreneur, or there is other asset or other factor, the most important that shouldn't have except financial capital.
Well, if we speak of management students, they have this great advantage that they understand the business concept. And this is very important. As for the finances, you definitely need the resources to start a business, but we usually say that it's not the most important because it's been never this good of time, basically globally, uh, for startups, for new ventures, because there are many opportunities that arise from new regulations, new ways to solving all kinds of business problems. And for this reason, we also see that there are financial research and also external coming from funds, all kinds of grants, also startups that your own money, and it's very important to use this now to grow this that opportunities in this.
We can get the financial capital from the external company, but in this era, it is safe to take the loan from the bank or not, based on your opinion.
Usually, startup companies are not eligible for bank loans. Doesn't happen at a very early stage because we have not usually you start with investors and then you safety funds, and once you get at least some serious market traction of the
So it is possible if I'm making some business plan and then to get to for development the product and then research for market. And then when I'm finished that business plan, is it possible if I'm asking you for financial capital investment?
of course, there is a whole network around the globe of business here who approach angel investors and discuss if this has investment previously, explain the position at the moment, explain what you want to see with this capital.
What what would be with your financial capital that you
Yes.
get?
Like why do you need to your assets for let's say 500,000 euros, dollars, whatever? What are you going
To do.
to do with it? Where are you going? What is the goal? Milestone goals?
It must be clearly right. The goal it must be clearly. Okay. Based on your opinion, should I focus for achieving a higher GPA, higher GPA, in order to pursue a PhD like you? Or would it be better if I'm activity joining an organization and internship at startup to better understand the innovation ecosystem?
It really depends what you want to do. If you are looking into academic career in the future, then definitely you will be you want to start working that you know that you're not going to higher education, uh, then you have then you have to from my perspective
Mm.
going to
So if my goal is want to gain a financial capital for being an entrepreneur, maybe join an internship is the better, right?
yeah. Or sometimes you can do both if
Mm.
you want to have a tutor, you know, if you want to do this, you need to do both.
Mm. So the next question. In human resource management courses, we learn about how managing people, how managing the employee in the company or the startup. And from the human resource courses, we know that the employee is also a valuable asset. So we have to protect our employment. Um, but in the reality, especially on my based on my experience, um, even managing a small group for doing assignment from our lecture, it can be so hard. It can be so challenging, right? What advice would you give to management students to gain their leadership skills before they have their own company?
Well, the basic you learn and we have all kinds of basic theory, and this is something that you can add to as but also real world person and usually that you can also learn from people who speak about it and who are already great leaders.
Hmm.
So it's basically, in my opinion, the combination of everything. Also your personality, how you are, to understand the psychological side of personality, how those individuals, of course, ground with everything that you receive now, and in some practical experience in terms of like trying to see how it goes. The mixture of it.
I heard that for managing a people, I know that changing people is hard, and we never do that. We never can do that. Never changing the people. So for learning about personality, I currently reading a book. The title is Surrounding by Idiots by Thomas Edison. So with reading the book, I can immediately uh, knowing that personality of a person. And then I want to ask you how to cope with the hard people in a team and how you coping with that. Cope with that. How you handle that.
Well, you handle it the best way you can. As I told you, it's style based, like try how it works. Understanding each person is very important because then you can decide on how to go and you also understand how you can motivate that and what the best fit for the person. So, but there is nothing like a magic bullet that can give you the like, oh, if you do that, you're going to work for sure.
Mm.
We have time. Um,
If you could turn back the time as a management student, what is one skill or knowledge that you invest more time to learn? So you becoming succeed startup founders and then as an angel investor like you have today.
if I would go back in
Yeah.
time, uh, maybe understanding the business concept better,
Mm.
because as for me, it was very difficult at the beginning, the business hard to get out of that. So understanding the functionality was difficult to get that benefit
Mm.
to be happy with that.
You have to invest more time to learn about the functional of that business, the
Yeah.
beneficial. Uh, uh, if you could give us an advice for management students who aspire to becoming entrepreneurs, what would it be? An advice to us.
Stay open-minded, take risk, develop great ideas that people need, turn your ideas into products need understand the market.
So it's about the marketing. We have to research the market and then the needs
Always.
of the customer, and then we turn our idea to a product, right? Like that. Okay. You may have encountered a various student activity units at different educational institutions, including your own institution. We love to hear we love to hear your thoughts and suggestions about how student activity units can improve their quality and performance. We are also interested in learning how the student activity units collaborate with other organizations or institutions. For instance, it is possible to work with student activity units at your institution. If so, what steps would be needed to start this collaboration or this co-working?
Well, usually starts with a mutual agreement of understanding between the two academic institutions, and depending on the type of students that there exist in these institutions, some plans to be made, not planning, some plans to be made with specific activities that people active. The whole now globally connected and get people to start online. I don't think it would be a problem, but with that that could be beneficial for both.
So, I think my question is done and it's answered by Professor Cascarina. Well, it feels like we've reached the end of our conversation already. Honestly, Professor Cascarina, our podcast and our conversation today felt like shortcut for me as a management student to understanding how the theory is in tested in truly tested in a real world practical. Thank you so much for your valuable time and sharing new insights with me despite your busy schedule. Uh, Wishing you continued success, Professor Katarina, and I truly hope that I have other opportunities to talking again with you in the future. Maybe with my English ability is gained, with a good English ability. So as well, thank you for all the listener and especially my fellow management students. I hope today's conversation will encourage us not only learning by a management textbook, but also to be brave enough to explore opportunities beyond them. I am Salwa, signing off. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.